The spotlight burned like a desert sun on the crowded banquet hall in downtown Chicago, where the air hung thick with cigar smoke and half-hearted applause. Alex Harper gripped the edge of the podium, his knuckles white against the polished oak, as his father's shadow loomed larger than life behind him. Captain Elias Harper, the iron-fisted legend of the CPD, retiring after 35 years of chasing shadows in the Windy City's underbelly. But in that frozen instant, as Elias stepped forward with a smile that didn't reach his eyes, Alex felt the first crack in the facade, a single, trembling note from the old man's voice that whispered of buried truths, ready to shatter everything they had pretended to be. Elias cleared his throat, the microphone screeching like a wounded animal, and the room fell into a hush that pressed against Alex's chest like a vice. "Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, friends," he began, his baritone steady as ever, but Alex caught the flicker, the hesitation at the edge of each word, like a man reciting lines from a script he'd long outgrown. This was supposed to be a night of triumphs, busts tallied like trophies, medals pinned to chests swollen with pride. Instead, as Elias's gaze locked onto Alex's across the sea of starched uniforms, the younger man braced for the storm he never saw coming. It started simple, Elias's speech, with the usual parade of war stories, the '78 blizzard takedown of the West Side Syndicate, the midnight raid that saved a dozen lives from a crumbling warehouse inferno. Laughter rippled through the crowd, glasses clinking in toasts to the ghost of the cop who bent rules like pretzels but never broke them. Alex stood off to the side, arms crossed over his rumpled blazer, forcing a nod when eyes turned his way. He was the dutiful son, the one who traded his own dreams for community college and a desk job at a nonprofit, all to stay close enough to mend the fractures Elias had hammered into their family. But mend what exactly? The old man had never said, and Alex had stopped asking after the night he'd come out, 16 and shaking, only to watch his father's face harden into something colder than Lake Michigan in January. "Family," Elias said then, pausing as if the word tasted foreign on his tongue. The room leaned in, sensing the shift. "It's the anchor in this job, the thing that keeps you human when the badge starts to chafe." Alex's stomach twisted. Human. What a loaded term from a man who'd once locked the bathroom door and told him, "This isn't us, Alex. This isn't what we fight for." That was 12 years ago, in the dim glow of their two-flat on the south side, where the argument had echoed off peeling wallpaper until Alex packed a bag and crashed on his aunt's couch for a month. They'd patched it with silence after that. Awkward Thanksgivings, birthday cards with $20 bills tucked inside, like apologies no one voiced. Now, here they were, under crystal chandeliers in the Palmer House Hilton, surrounded by brass who clapped Elias on the back like he was a saint in Kevlar. Alex scanned the faces, Commissioner Reyes with her no-nonsense bun, graying at the temples from too many budget fights, Lieutenant Patel, the beat cop who'd mentored Alex in Little League before the diagnosis, Parkinson's, stage 3, the thief that finally sidelined Elias. And there, in the back row, was Jordan, Alex's anchor, the one who'd coaxed him back to these events with quiet insistence. Jordan Reyes, no relation to the commissioner, the trans man whose laugh could disarm a suspect faster than a taser, who'd met Alex at a Pride rally 3 years back and stuck through the relapses, the doubts, the nights Alex woke screaming from dreams of badges and betrayals. Jordan caught his eye now, offering a thumbs up that said, "You've got this. Whatever this is." Alex managed a half-smile, but his pulse thrummed like a siren in his veins. Elias was building to something. Alex could feel it in the way the old man's hands trembled, not from the Parkinson's, but from the weight of words unsaid. "I chased monsters for decades," Elias continued, his voice dropping an octave. "But the real ones? They hide in plain sight. In the mirrors we avoid. In the suns we push away because we're too damn scared to see ourselves in them." A murmur stirred the crowd, confusion knitting brows under peaked caps. Alex's breath hitched. Scared? Elias, the bulldog who'd stared down mob enforcers without flinching, admitting fear? It didn't compute. Not the man who'd drilled into him the Harper Code. Stand tall, speak plain, never back down. Not the cop who'd come home from shifts with blood on his knuckles and a story to spin into legend, all while Alex huddled in his room, headphones blasting indie rock to drown out the hypocrisy. The speech veered then, Elias gesturing vaguely toward the podium's edge, where a faded photo album lay unopened, a relic Alex hadn't seen since childhood. "This job teaches you about loyalty," he said, flipping it open with fingers that betrayed their age. Gasps rippled as the first page revealed not department headshots, but snapshots of a younger Elias, arms slung around a man Alex didn't recognize. Lean, dark-haired, with eyes like storm clouds and a grin that lit the frame. They stood on a Lakeshore Drive pier, wind whipping their jackets, the city skyline a jagged promise behind them. "This was Tommy," Elias said, his voice cracking like thin ice. "My partner, not just on the force, in everything." The room erupted in whispers, a tide of speculation crashing against the walls. Alex's world tilted. Partner? Tommy Riley. The name surfaced from dusty precinct lore. The golden boy who'd vanished mid-investigation in '92, ruled a suicide after a bullet to the temple in his Gold Coast apartment. Official story: burnout, the bottle, a cop's tragic end. But Elias's eyes, glistening now under the lights, told a different tale. Tommy was more than a badge to me, he pressed on, ignoring the commissioner's sharp intake of breath. He was the love I buried deeper than any case file. The one I lost because I couldn't stand the light on us. Alex's knees buckled. He caught himself on a chair, the wood biting into his palm. Gay. His father, had been in love with a man. The pieces slammed together like a suspect in cuffs. The late nights Elias claimed were stakeouts, the unexplained absences after Tommy's death, the way he'd recoiled from Alex's confession not in rage, but in a mirror of his own shame. All those years of stony silences, the tough love lectures that masked a grief Elias had swallowed whole. Alex's throat burned. He wanted to scream, to lunge across the stage and demand, "Why didn't you tell me?" But the crowd held him fast, transfixed as Elias turned the page to reveal more. Clandestine letters tucked in margins, a hidden keychain engraved with intertwined initials, relics of a life coated in shadows. Jordan was at his side in seconds, hand steady on Alex's elbow, grounding him as the speech barreled toward its abyss. "I failed Tommy," Elias admitted, his shoulders slumping under the weight of 3 decades. "And in failing him, I failed you, Alex. Pushed you away because seeing your courage, your truth, forced me to face mine. I thought the department would break me if they knew. Hell, I broke myself first." The words hung, raw and ragged, as tears traced paths down Elias's weathered cheeks. Applause started tentative, then swelled, a wave of reluctant empathy from men and women who'd enforced the silence as much as they'd lived it. But Alex couldn't clap. Not yet. The hook had sunk deep, reeling him into a past he'd never mapped. As Elias stepped down, enveloping him in a hug that smelled of Old Spice and regret, Alex whispered, "Dad." "How long?" Elias pulled back, eyes searching his son's. "Since before you were born, kid. But tonight, it's over." The flashbulbs popped like gunfire, reporters surging forward, but Alex saw only the man behind the myth, flawed, fierce, finally free. The aftermath blurred into a haze of handshakes and condolences, the banquet hall transforming from celebration to confessional. Commissioner Reyes cornered Elias near the dessert table, her voice low and laced with the steel that had climbed her through glass ceilings. "You sure about this, Cap? The brass won't like the headlines tomorrow." Elias shrugged, a ghost of his old swagger returning. "Let him spin it. I've got nothing left to lose but the lies." Alex hovered nearby, Jordan's presence a quiet bulwark against the onslaught of questions from old beat partners. "Tommy? Really? You two were?" The air crackled with discomfort, prejudices unearthed like landmines in a victory lap. By midnight, the crowd thinned to stragglers nursing whiskeys, and Alex found himself alone with Elias on the hotel's rooftop terrace, the city sprawled glittering below like a field of fallen stars. Wind tugged at their coats, carrying the distant wail of sirens, a reminder that some chases never end. "Start from the beginning," Alex said, voice steady despite the quake in his chest. Elias lit a cigarette, the flame illuminating lines etched deeper than any bullet scar. "Tommy and me. We were rookies together, 87. Fresh out of the academy, all fire and no sense. He had this way of seeing through the bullshit, the department's mine. One night, after a bus gone south, we ended up at his place on Division. One thing led to another, and suddenly the world's biggest secret was ours. Alex leaned against the railing, the cold metal biting through his shirt. He pictured them, young, invincible, stealing moments in squad cars and safe houses while the city burned around them. And Mom. The question slipped out sharper than intended. Elias exhaled smoke, watching it curl toward the stars. Your mom. She knew, in a way. We met later, after Tommy. She was my cover, Alex. The wife, the family, the perfect precinct picture. But it was always half a life. Regret shadowed his face, a father's guilt layered over a lover's loss. When Tommy died, I convinced myself it was the job, overwork, the pressure. But deep down, I knew it was me. The hiding, the fear. The pieces clicked harder now. Tommy's suicide, the rumors Alex had overheard as a kid, whispers of internal affairs sniffing too close to their partnership. Had Elias pushed him away to protect the facade? Or worse, to protect himself? You let them bury him as a drunk, Alex accused, anger flaring hot. While you played the grieving, straight-arrow widower. Elias winced, stamping out the cigarette. I was a coward, son. But I swore I'd shield you from that poison. When you came out, God, it gutted me. Not because of you, but because I saw Tommy in your eyes. The bravery I lacked. Tears stung Alex's vision, blurring the skyline. He'd spent years hating that reflection, Elias's disappointment as a verdict on his worth, a cop's disdain for the weakness in his son's veins. Jordan had helped unpack it, late nights over takeout Thai, dissecting the trauma like evidence at a scene. Your dad's not rejecting you, Jordan would say, his voice soft with the wisdom of someone who'd navigated his own transitions under skeptical family eyes. He's wrestling ghosts you can't see. Now, those ghosts had names, faces, and Elias was handing over the lantern. They talked until dawn crept over the lake, words tumbling like evidence long suppressed. The underground network of queer cops in the 90s, coded signals and radio chatter. The night Elias nearly came out after Stonewall's echo, but choked on the words at roll call. Alex shared his side. The isolation of growing up in a blue-line bubble. The first boyfriend ghosted after a homophobic slur from a neighbor cop. The nonprofit gig fighting for LGBTQ plus youth in juvie that Elias had dismissed as bleeding heart nonsense. Laughter broke through eventually, brittle at first, then genuine, when Elias admitted to binge-watching Queer as Folk in secret after Alex left a DVD in the player. But reconciliation isn't a straight shot. It's a maze with dead ends. The next week brought the backlash, anonymous tips to the Tribune painting Elias as a closeted liability, brass memos questioning his commendations, old colleagues crossing streets to avoid the Harper's gaze. Alex fielded calls from his aunt, furious at the family laundry aired public, and Jordan's mom, the commissioner, chewed him out over brunch for stirring the pot. Through it all, Jordan remained the steady pulse. A weekend getaway to Saugatuck, Michigan's dunes, where they walked hand in hand under pines, Alex finally voicing the fear that had choked him since the speech. What if it's all too late? What if he's just sorry for show? Jordan stopped, sand shifting under his boots, and cupped Alex's face with hands calloused from woodworking shifts. Love isn't a retirement badge, Alex. It's the daily grind. Give him the chance he never gave himself. Those words echoed as Alex drove back to Chicago, the lake a silver thread beside the highway, pulling him toward a fragile truce. The real test came unannounced, 2 months post-retirement, when Elias showed up at Alex's door with a cardboard box labeled Tommy's. Inside, dog-eared journals, Polaroids faded to sepia, a precinct key fob engraved with a rainbow pinprick, subtle defiance in brass knuckles. Read it, Elias grunted, settling into the worn armchair like he belonged. Alex did, pages whispering of stolen weekends in Boys Town, coded love letters slipped into lockers, the ache of loving in a world that equated vulnerability with vice. One entry gutted him. Elias thinks he's protecting me by staying silent, but every unspoken word is a bullet in the chamber. If we don't fight for us, who will? That night, over pizza and Pilsner, father and son forged a pact, not forgiveness in a bow, but a shared vigilance. Elias volunteered at Alex's nonprofit, his gravelly stories of 80s raids now laced with lessons on allyship, disarming skeptical teens with the authenticity of a man reborn. Alex, in turn, attended a veterans support group with him, navigating the minefield of blue-wall machismo where queerness was still slang for suspect. Yet twists lurked in the margins. Jordan, ever the quiet storm, confessed over coffee one gray afternoon that he'd known Elias's secret for years, overheard a drunken ramble at a department picnic, kept it locked to honor the old man's cage. "I didn't want to betray your trust," Jordan said, eyes downcast. "But it ate at me, watching you carry that alone." Betrayal stung, sharp as a switchblade, but Alex saw the love in it, the fierce protection mirroring Elias's own flawed shields. They mended with time, a weekend in the Smokies where Jordan carved their initials into a birch, a vow etched in bark. The climax crested at Pride that June, Chicago's streets a riot of color and chant, rain-slicked but unbowed. Elias marched beside Alex, Jordan linking their arms, a rainbow flag draped over shoulders scarred by service. Catcalls from fringe holdouts pierced the joy, but Elias turned, badge glinting in his pocket, and met them with a stare that said, "I've faced worse." A news van captured it all, the unmasked cop, arm around his gay son, trans son-in-law by proxy, a tableau of defiance that trended nationwide. In the quiet afterglow, atop Alex's fire escape with the city humming below, Elias raised a glass. "To secrets that set us free." Alex clinked his, the sound of benediction. "And to the ones we build together." Love, it turned out, wasn't the absence of conflict, but the courage to wade through it. Prejudices toppled like dominoes, misunderstandings unraveled thread by thread. Their past, once a noose, became the map to a future unbound. But stories don't end neat. They ripple. Months later, a letter arrived, postmarked from San Francisco, penned in a hand Elias recognized instantly. Tommy's sister, long estranged, enclosing a final journal entry dated days before his death. "If I go, tell Elias it's not his fault. Tell him to live loud, for both of us. And for the boy he'll one day call son." Elias wept then, unashamed, as Alex read over his shoulder. The secret past, unmasked, wasn't just revelation, it was resurrection. Elias folded the letter with hands that still sought the steadiness of a holster, though the weight of it had lifted long ago. Alex watched from the kitchen table, coffee steaming untouched, the morning light slanting through blinds like bars on a cell they'd both escaped. "What now?" he asked, voice thick with the residue of night-haunted dreams. Elias met his gaze, the blue eyes so like Alex's own now softened by surrender. "We honor him. Properly. No more graves half-dug." The decision crystallized over the next weeks, a plan hatched in stolen afternoons at Alex's cramped Logan Square apartment, walls papered with activist posters, bookshelves sagging under tomes on queer theory and police reform. Jordan contributed sketches, a memorial bench in Boys Town, etched with Tommy's name and a line from his journal, Live Loud. Elias handled the logistics, his pension affording a stonemason's fee, while Alex navigated the permits, dodging City Hall bureaucrats who eyed the deceased officer angle with wary curiosity. "You Harper's always stirring something," one quipped, and Elias barked a laugh that echoed off marble corridors, the first unburdened sound Alex had heard from him in years. Tensions simmered beneath the surface, though. Aunt Marlene, Elias's sister, arrived uninvited one Sunday, her Buick screeching to a halt outside like a verdict. She'd aged into a fortress of floral dresses and fundamentalist pamphlets, the kind that equated rainbows with reckonings. "This madness has to stop," she declared, slamming a Tupperware of lemon bars on the counter as peace offering or poison pill. "Dragging the family name through parades and plaques? Your mother's rolling in her grave, Eli." Elias's jaw tightened, a vestige of the stoic patriarch, but Alex stepped in, voice level as a lifeline. "Auntie, Mom wanted us happy. Remember her stories? The ones about love conquering all." Marlene's eyes narrowed, flicking between them. Nephew with his friend, Jordan lingering in the doorway. Brother with a tremor he blamed on age, but she knew was atonement. "Love? This is delusion. The Bible's clear." Jordan cleared his throat then, stepping forward with the grace of someone who'd fielded worse. "Ma'am, fate's personal. Like this family. We're just claiming ours. The words hung, a gauntlet thrown soft. Marlene huffed, but took a bar before leaving, the door clicking shut like a truce deferred. That exchange lingered, a fault line in their fragile rebuild. Alex confided in Jordan later, sprawled on the couch amid takeout cartons, the TV murmuring a documentary on Stonewall. She's not wrong about Mom. What if Elias's truth erases her? Jordan traced patterns on Alex's arm, his touch a compass. Truths overlap, babe. Your mom's part of this mosaic too. The woman who covered for him, raised you fierce. Honor her by living whole. Wisdom from a man who'd buried his dead name with his father's approval, transitioned on a shoestring, now thriving as a barista/sculptor with ink-stained fingers and a heart wide as the lake. The bench unveiling drew a crowd modest but mighty. A dozen retirees from Elias's old unit, awkward in civilian polos, Alex's nonprofit crew, banners fluttering like flags of progress, Jordan's chosen family, a tapestry of genders and graces. Mayor's office sent a rep with a plaque, words polished, in memory of Officer Thomas Riley, partner in justice. Elias spoke brief, voice gravel over glass. Tommy deserved better than silence. We all do. Applause scattered like confetti, but Alex's eyes stung at the empty space beside him. Tommy's ghost a gentle haunt, not the specter it had been. After, over beers at a nearby dive, stories flowed freer than foam. Lieutenant Patel, silver-haired and sentimental, confessed his own regrets. A cousin lost to conversion camps in the 90s, a silence he'd regretted too late. You did right by him, Cap, he said, clinking bottles. Elias nodded, but his gaze drifted to Alex, who sat with Jordan's hand in his lap, a quiet claim. Nah, my boy did. Showed me how. Yet the past clawed back, insidious as fog off the water. A week later, an unmarked envelope slid under Alex's door. Inside, photocopies of Tommy's IA file, redacted but damning. Whispers of an internal probe into inappropriate relations between partners, tipped by a jealous rival. Elias's name redacted, but the dates matched his absences, the shadows in his eyes. Someone's digging, Alex said, handing it over during their weekly diner meet. The vinyl booth's a confessional booth. Elias scanned the pages, color draining like ink in rain. Old ghosts. Probably Hargrove, that snake from Vice. Always hated loose ends. Fear flickered, not for himself, but for the fragile peace. We tell the truth, Alex urged, echoing Tommy's words. All of it. Elias hesitated, the cop in him warring with the man. And risk the department painting us as scandals? Your job, my pension. Jordan, arriving mid-argument with milkshakes, cut through, or you let it fester, and it poisons everything again. Choose, Elias. Hide or heal. The choice came swift, a press conference called at Alex's nonprofit HQ, a converted warehouse pulsing with purpose. Reporters crammed the space, mics bristling like spines, as Elias took the podium, Alex and Jordan flanking him like sentinels. The file you're holding? It's half the story, he began, holding up the copies. Tommy and I loved each other in a time when that was a career ender. The probe? It broke him. I let it, by staying silent. But silence ends today. Questions pelted like hail, ethics breaches, cover-ups, the toll on the badge. Elias fielded them raw, admitting the hypocrisies, the raids on gay bars while he danced in them undercover, the allyship he'd preached but never practiced. Alex spoke next, voice steady as he wove their threads. My coming out? It mirrored Dad's buried life. We lost years to misunderstanding, to the fear that queerness weakens us. But it doesn't. It forges us. Jordan added his piece, outing the family's quiet trans ally in the process. This isn't just Harper history. It's every cop family grappling with who we are beyond the uniform. The room shifted, skepticism yielding to nods, a ripple of recognition from queer journalists in the back. Backlash hit like a squall, op-eds decrying woke erosion of law enforcement, crank calls to the nonprofit, Marlene's final ultimatum, a handwritten note severing ties. But support surged too, emails from closeted officers, invitations to panels on reform, a GoFundMe for Tommy's memorial swelling overnight. Elias found purpose in the fray, guest lecturing at academies on inclusive policing, his tremor a badge of battles won inward. For Alex, the turning point was personal. A therapy session where he unpacked the rage, the grief for the father he'd mythologized as monster. He wasn't perfect, the counselor said, but he chose you. Every day after. Jordan echoed it that night, as they slow danced in the kitchen to Coltrane, bodies sinking like breaths. We're the bridge, Alex. From secret to scene. Winter blanketed Chicago in white, muting the scars, and with spring came renewal. Elias dating tentatively, a widower's app match with a retired firefighter named Mick, their first coffee laced with nervous laughs. Alex walked Jordan down the aisle at a commitment ceremony in Grant Park. Vows exchanged under cherry blossoms, Elias officiating with a steadiness born of practice. In a world that tried to divide you, he said, voice thick, you chose unity. The secret past, once a chasm, now a foundation, cracked but solid, bearing the weight of truth's hard won. Yet unity tests its mettle in storms unforeseen. The call came on a muggy July evening. Alex's phone buzzing like a hornet amid the sizzle of backyard burgers. Elias's first family grill out since the unveiling. Jordan manning the tongs with mock serious flair. Harper, the voice barked, official as a warrant. This is Detective Lau, Cold Cases. We need to talk about Riley. Alex's grill fork clattered, sauce staining the patio stones. Elias, flipping patties with renewed vigor, froze mid-turn. What about him? Alex echoed, stepping inside for privacy, the screen door slapping shut like a gavel. Lau's tone was clipped, procedural. New evidence surfaced. A witness recanting on the suicide call. We're reopening. Alex's mind reeled. Suicide? The word soured, tainted by years of Elias's quiet insistence it was accident. Overwork's cruel cap. Reopening as what? He pressed, glancing out at Elias, who chatted obliviously with Jordan about White Sox prospects. Homicide, Lau said flatly. Possible internal hit. Your dad's name's in the mix. Persons of interest. The line went dead, leaving Alex adrift in the kitchen's fluorescent hum, the past uncoiling like smoke from a fresh crime scene. He didn't tell Elias that night, not with the burgers charring and laughter bubbling tentative as beer foam. Instead, he lay awake beside Jordan, the ceiling fan whirring accusations. Homicide. The word conjured shadows. Tommy's apartment, cordoned in yellow tape. The .38 registered to him, but prints smudged. Neighbors hearing an argument hours prior. Elias had always waved it off. Cops burn out, son. But now? The file's whispers of the probe. Hargrove's grudge. Did it stretch to murder? Alex's nonprofit work had taught him the rod and badges. Cover-ups for the brotherhood. Queerness as leverage in power plays. Morning brought clarity's edge. He met Lau at a Loop coffee shop. Neutral ground amid the rush of suits and steam. The detective was young, Asian American, with a buzz cut and eyes that sized Alex like evidence. Off record first, Lau said, sliding over a dossier thicker than a novel. Photos spilled. Tommy's body, pallid on linoleum. Hargrove's personnel file, thick with reprimands for excessive force on queer suspects. A timeline pinning Elias at a stakeout miles away. Alibi or artifice. Your old man was deep in vice then, Lau continued. Riley too. Rumor was they were skimming evidence from bathhouse raids. Protection racket for the community. Alex's stomach nodded. That's bullshit. Tommy was clean, Elias too. Lau leaned in, coffee breath sharp. Or smart. Witnesses now say Hargrove cornered Riley weeks before, threatened exposure. Faggot cop, leverage. Next day, Riley's dead. The word landed like a slug, queerness weaponized. A blade in the blue. Alex pocketed the dossier, pulse hammering. Why now? After all these years. Lau's shrug was weary. Anonym anonymous tip. Audio tape. Hargrove ranting in a bar 05. Someone's conscience kicked in. Driving home through gridlock, Alex wrestled the serpent. Confront Elias. Risk unraveling the man who'd just begun to stand tall? Or shield him? Perpetuate the cycle? Jordan waited on the stoop, sensing the storm in Alex's gait. Talk, he commanded, pulling him into the cool living room. Sunlight slanting like judgment. Words tumbled. Homicide. Hargrove, the probe's venom. Jordan listened, face a mask of calm forged in transition's fires. You think he knew? Alex paced, dossiers fanned on the coffee table. God. J. What if he covered for the killer to save his own skin? Our skin. The doubt festered, a canker in their progress. Elias noticed the shift at dinner. Alex's silences, Jordan's overbright anecdotes. Spill it, kid, he said finally. Fork paused over lasagna. Alex slid the dossier across, pages whispering betrayal. Elias's face cycled through shock, sorrow, fury, ending in a sigh that deflated him like a punctured tire. Hargrove, he muttered, tracing a photo of the man, bull-necked and sneering in 90s grain. That bastard hated us from day one. Called Tommy the pretty boy with a wink that cut. The confession unspooled over hours, Elias pacing the length of the apartment, words a purge. The probe? It was Hargrove's doing, raiding clubs, shaking down owners for protection, while pinning dirt on us for not playing ball. Tommy confronted him, recorded it even. That's the tape, I bet. Alex's heart clenched. And the night he died. Elias stopped, back to them, shoulders bowed. I was coming over, late shift excuse. Heard the shot from the alley, saw Hargrove's car peeling out. Called it in anonymous, made it look suicide to bury the probe with him. Silence crashed, heavy as cuffs. Jordan broke it first, voice even. You let a murderer walk. For what? Elias turned, eyes wet. For you, Alex. You were 10, dreaming of being a cop like Dad. Couldn't let the scandal touch that. Touch us. Alex surged up, chair scraping. Us? You mean your secret? I grew up idolizing a ghost, Dad, while you buried the truth with him. The argument escalated, voices ricocheting off walls, Jordan mediating like a referee in a brawl of blood. Elias left at dawn, duffel in hand, a note on the counter. Need air. Love you both. Fix this right. Alex collapsed onto the couch, Jordan curling around him, a human harbor. He's not the villain, Jordan murmured. Just a man who chose wrong to protect what he loved. But the wound wept. Trust, that tender shoot, trampled anew. Days blurred into a vigil. Voicemails unanswered, texts read but silent. Alex threw into work, counseling kids whose stories echoed his, rejected by cop dads, lost in the system's grind. One, a wiry teen named Kai, non-binary and bruised from a foster bounce, latched onto Alex's ear. You get it, man, the hiding. But what if coming clean's the superpower? Kai's words pierced, a mirror to Tommy's journal, Elias's speech. Jordan rallied allies. A call to Commissioner Reyes, who leaned on Lau for updates. A quiet meet with Mick, Elias's beau, who confessed the old man holed up at his Evanston bungalow, staring at lake waves like answers. He's scared you'll hate him forever, Mick said over porch tea, his firefighter build softened by retirement's ease. But he misses you like breath. The bridge rebuild started small. A care package delivered. Alex's favorite comics. Jordan's carved keychain. A note. Heroes fix messes. You're psychic. Elias called that night. Voice rough as unsanded wood. I'm in. Full truth. Hargrove pays. They met at Lau's precinct, a fluorescent tomb where ghosts lingered in corkboards. Elias recounted the alley shot, the anonymous call, Hargrove's taunt the next shift. Loose lips sink ships, Harper. Lau taped it all, eyes widening at the fit. Motive, means, the tape's rant sealing malice. Arrest came swift. Hargrove, pensioned and pickled in a Joliet trailer, cuffed in his boxers, snarling fairy tales as flashbulbs popped. The trial loomed, a spectacle of buried blues, witnesses from old raids, Tommy's sister testifying through tears, Elias on the stand, voice unwavering. He killed the man I loved. For being who he was. Alex sat front row, Jordan's hand in his, pride swelling past the pain. Verdict, guilty, life without, the courtroom erupting in catharsis. In the quiet after, outside under sodium lamps, Elias hugged Alex fierce. Sorry doesn't cut it, but I am. Alex held on, tears salting the collar. It does. Now, Jordan grinned, slinging arms around both. Family's not perfect. It's persistent. The ripples spread, reforms whispered in council halls, queer liaisons mandated in training, Tommy's bench a pilgrimage site. Alex and Jordan adopted Kai, a trio forging home from fragments. Elias walked Mick down Saugatuck beaches, rings exchanged in dune grass. The secret past? Not unmasked, but understood. a scar that stories, not shames. Under the harvest moon of an unseasonably warm October, Chicago exhaled, leaves carpeting streets like confetti from a pardon parade. The trial's dust settled, Hargrove's appeals a distant drone, and the Harpers, extended now, woven with Jordan's threads and Kai's spark, gathered for a ritual of their own. Tommy's proper send-off, a lakeside scattering where waves lapped like applause. Elias clutched the urn, brass glinting in twilight, his tremor a metronome to memories. To living loud, he toasted, ash swirling into Superior's embrace, a freedom Tommy'd craved. Alex felt the shift then, a loosening in his chest, the knot of resentment untied, not by words but waves. Kai, wide-eyed at 12, clutched a daisy chain, whispering, "He sounds cool, like a superhero uncle." Jordan ruffled their hair, affirming, "The best kind, ones who loved hard." Mick stood sentinel, his arm a steady bar for Elias, their bond a quiet testament to second acts. As dusk deepened, they lingered, stories shared around a portable fire pit. Tommy's prank on rookies, his hidden sketches of cityscapes queered with lovers in lieu of landmarks. Back home, the glow lingered, but life insists on friction. Jordan's gallery show loomed, a debut of sculptures born from their saga, abstract forms in reclaimed metal, titles like Unmasked and Anchor. Alex beamed at previews, Kai critiquing with pint-sized candor. That one's dad, strong but bendy. Elias even attended a preview, fidgeting in chinos amid the artsy crowd, but his nod to echoes, a twisted badge cradling a heart, said volumes. "Proud of you, son-in-law," he grumbled later, clapping Jordan's back. The term landed awkward, warm, a bridge beam in place. Yet prejudices persist, sly as smog. At the opening, a critic from the Sun-Times cornered Alex, notebook poised like a probe. Heroic narrative or opportunism? Your families. Revelations timed so neatly with the trial. The barb stung, implying spectacle over substance, the old trope of queer pain as plot device. Alex parried, voice edged. Truth doesn't punch clocks. It just is. Jordan overheard, later venting over post-show wine. Assholes like that? They thrive on division. Don't let him. But the seed burrowed. Doubt that their story was inspirational or just infamous. A cautionary tale wrapped in rainbow. Worse brewed at work. A donor pullout from the nonprofit. Anonymous notes citing political entanglements post-trial. Alex's boss, a weary lesbian veteran of the AIDS crisis, pulled him aside. "We're bleeding funds, Alex. The Harper drama's scaring conservatives." He fought the urge to snap. Drama? Lives reclaimed, instead pitching expansions. Peer groups for cop families, ally trainings. "We're not the problem," he argued. "We're the fix." She nodded, but the strain showed in her sighs, a reminder that progress paces with permission. Homefront fractures formed too. Kai, navigating middle school maelstrom, came home tear-streaked one afternoon, backpack thudding like defeat. "They said I'm weird, cause of you guys. The news called us the gay cop soap opera." Alex knelt, heart fracturing. "World's full of weird, kid. Ours just shines brighter." Jordan scooped Kai for ice cream therapy, but the incident echoed Elias's old lectures. Kids are cruel. Toughen up. Now, Elias arrived with contraband comics, sitting cross-legged on the floor, tremor be damned, to spin tales of his own playground battles. "Fought a bully once for calling me sissy," he admitted. "Lost the tooth, won the respect. But respect's earned, not demanded." That vulnerability cracked Alex open further, revealing Elias not as monolith, but mosaic, tiles of machismo masking mosaic of fear. They bonded over Kai's homework, Elias's street smarts decoding algebra like case files. "See? Variables are suspects. Line 'em up, truth emerges." Laughter laced the lessons, a balm for bruises. The real tempest brewed from within. Jordan's restlessness, unspoken but simmering. Late-night sketches turned frantic, sleep evading him as he carved deeper into wood, shavings littering the studio like shed skins. Alex noticed the hollows under his eyes, the way touches lingered tentative. "Talk to me," he urged one midnight, kitchen clock ticking accusations. Jordan set down his chisel, hands flour-dusted from a midnight bake. "This show's my shot, Alex. But what if it's not enough? What if I'm always the trans guy in the gay cop story? The confession gutted, a mirror to Alex's donor doubts, identity reduced to narrative prop. You're you, Alex countered, fierce. The man who held me through hell. Jordan's eyes glistened. I know, but the world's lens? It warps. They talked till dawn, unraveling threads. Jordan's pre-transition dreams of solo exhibits in New York, stifled by stability's anchor. I love this life, he said. But maybe. A residency? 3 months, to breathe. Alex's chest tightened. 3 months? Without Jordan's steady hum, the apartment would echo hollow. But love bends, doesn't break. Go, he said finally, kissing knuckles scarred from tools. We'll visit. Kyle, plot your escape routes. Relief flooded Jordan's face, a kiss sealing the pact. Elias, hearing later, clapped Alex's shoulder. Smart move, kid. Love's not a cage, it's wings. Wings tested in gales. The donor crisis peaked with a board meeting, Alex presenting his pitch amid suits skeptical as storm clouds. Our work saves lives, he urged, slides flashing stats. Youth suicide drops post-ally programs. A venture capitalist, rainbow pin wearing but portfolio pristine, countered. Noble, but risky. The Harper trial's fresh, optics matter. Optics. The word soured, reducing reform to branding. Alex leaned in, voice steel. Optics save no one. Actions do. Fund the change, or step aside. The board voted yes. Narrow, but yes, buoyed by an anonymous match from, it turned out, Tommy's sister, her check a quiet live loud. Jordan's show sold out, pieces fetching sums that funded the residency. Brooklyn, 6 months, a loft with lake views swapped for skyline spires. Kai's school woes eased with a GSA club launch. Elias volunteering as cool granddad cop, his stories disarming doubters. Fall deepened, leaves flaming, and Jordan departed with airport hugs tear-streaked but triumphant. Alex filled voids with Elias. Fishing trips to the Chano Lakes, where casts and confessions synced. Never thought I'd say this, Elias admitted, reeling in a bass, but I'm glad for the mess. Made us. Alex nodded, line taut. Me too. Mess and all. Kai's first art piece. A collage of family photos, Tommy's face sketched from Elias's tales. Hung in the hall, a beacon. The secret past, once Pandora's box, now a palette. Colors blended, birthing beauty from bruise. Winter's grip loosened grudgingly, Chicago shrugging off ice like an old grudge, and with spring's thaw came Jordan's return, not triumphant procession, but quiet reclamation. The airport reunion was chaos. Kai barreling through legs with a sign scrawled "Welcome Home," Papa J. Elias trailing with balloons bobbing like buoys, Alex's heart a drumroll in his ribs. Jordan emerged, portfolio slung, beard trimmed, eyes alight with city dust and discovery. Missed this, he murmured into Alex's neck, amid the scrum, and the world righted on its axis. The residency had reshaped him, sketches bolder, edges sharper, a series on fractured facades, earning gallery buzz. New York's brutal, he confessed over re-entry dinner, chopsticks clacking in dim some steam. Pushes you raw. Kai peppered questions. Did ya see the Big Apple? Eat pizza folded? Elias grunted approval at the portfolio flips. Art's like policing. See the cracks. Phil M. Mick, ever the rock, added, proud babe. You flew. The table hummed, a symphony of second chances. But reintegration chafes. Jordan dove into a follow-up exhibit, studio hours stretching like taffy, leaving Alex to solo parent Kai's soccer games and Elias's doc appointments. Parkinson's progressing, meds tweaking like unreliable informants. One evening, Alex snapped over a cold dinner. You're here, but not here. Jordan paused, paint smeared, hurt flickering. I'm building us, Alex. For the future. The fight simmered short. Apologies over midnight microwaved leftovers, but it highlighted the pull. Careers as comets, family the gravity well. Elias sensed the strain, inviting Jordan for man talks at the track, laps around Montrose Harbor, breaths puffing in chill air. Marriage is marathons, he advised, jogging slowed to shuffles. Pace it, or burn out. Jordan absorbed, later sharing with Alex. Your dad's got layers. Like onions. Make you cry, but add flavor. Laughter bridged the gap, A couple's pottery class booked on whim, hands muddied in shared creation, a lopsided vase, imperfect emblem. Kai's growth accelerated, hormones hinting at puberty's puzzle, binders tested and talks tiptoed. What if I don't fit, boy or girl? They asked one park bench confab, swings creaking nearby. Alex and Jordan tag-teamed. You fit, you kid. Labels optional. Elias, overhearing, chimed later. Back in my day, we boxed everything. Don't. Boxes break. His acceptance, hard-won, modeled grace. Visits to the clinic, waiting room vigils with dog-eared magazines. The nonprofit thrived, Alex's program scaling. A pilot with CPD on Blue Kinship, training officers in family dynamics queered. Elias co-led sessions, his gravel anecdotes. Lost my son once to my own dumb pride. Drawing nods from recruits fresh-faced and flawed. Backlash lingered, a protest outside, pickets waving protect the badge, not the agenda, but counterchants drowned them, Kai's school GSA marching in solidarity. A twist uncoiled from the ether. Tommy's sister, Lena, reached out, not for closure, but collaboration. Found his sketches, she wrote, enclosing scans. Ethereal figures in uniform, loving amid urban grit. Exhibit? For him. Jordan pounced, curating shadows in blue, a joint show blending his metals with Tommy's inks. The opening packed sidetrack, bar lights low, crowd a mix of leathermen and lieutenants. Elias unveiled a piece, two silhouettes embracing, titled Unseen. For the loves we hid, he said, voice steady, Mick's hand in his. Applause thundered, tears tracing cheeks. Alex is among them. Pride for the father who'd become ally, artist in his own right. Post-show, euphoria crested into crisis. Elias collapsed mid-toast, Mick catching him as tremors seized full. ER lights harsh, diagnosis, progression accelerated, mobility aids imminent. Not done yet. Elias rasped from the gurney, gripping Alex's hand. Jordan coordinated, Kai drawing get-well cards with superheroes in wheelchairs. Recovery stretched, rehab a grind of falls and fights, but family fortified. Game nights with adapted controllers, lake walks with canes synced like partners. In the hush of hospital vigils, truths deepened. Feared this, Elias admitted one night, for dripping steady. Losing control, like with Tommy. Alex squeezed, you didn't lose him. Or me. We're here. Jordan added, control's illusion. Connection's real. Kai curled in the chair, asleep to beeping, a totem of tomorrow. Spring bloomed defiant, cherry trees defiant, and Elias wheeled out, scooter humming, spirit unbroken. The exhibit toured, funds fueling scholarships for queer youth in blue families. Jordan's career soared, commissions rolling, but rooted. A home studio edition, walls echoing with hammer and heart. One solstice eve, they gathered lakeside again. No ashes, but lanterns launched, paper glows inscribed with gratitudes, Tommy's among them, for the family that carried on. They floated, stars mirroring, a constellation of comebacks. The past, unmasked, was an end but ever unfolding, love's drama in acts infinite. Summer's zenith baked the city gold, humidity a heavy crown, and the Harpers crowned it with commitment. Jordan and Alex's wedding, not ceremony but celebration, a lakeshore affair under tents billowing like sails. Kai, 13 and towering, officiated in a suit tailored non-binary. Vest over tee, grin wide as the horizon. Elias, scooter parked, rolled down the aisle as best man, Mick beaming beside. Vows exchanged simple. Through badges and blanks, I choose you. Rings slid, copper twisted like Jordan's art, and the crowd, nonprofit kin, precinct pals, Lena with her sketches, cheered as cake cut, confetti swirling. Honeymoon whispered domestic. A cabin in Door County, Wisconsin, where dunes met woods, Kai boarded with Elias and Mick for Grandpa Camp. Alex and Jordan hiked, hands linked, talking futures unscripted, kids beyond Kai, perhaps, or travels to Tommy's San Francisco haunts. Roots and Rome. Jordan mused, toes in surf. Best of both. Alex kissed salt from lips. With you, anywhere's home. Return thrust them into autumn's rush. School for Kai. Shows for Jordan, sessions for Alex. Now director, helm steady. Elias's health plateaued. Scooter a chariot for activism. Speeches at pride boards. Op-eds in the Trib on policing the closet. A viral clip of him schooling a heckler. Son, I chased real crooks. Bigots chase shadows. Racked millions. Unlikely icon born. But icons crack. A relapse hit Elias hard. Fall in the shower. Hip fractured. Hospital again. Mick called frantic. Alex racing through rush hour. Jordan trailing with Kai's backpack stuffed emergency. Slippery soap. Elias joked from traction, but pain etched deep. Surgery loomed. Pins and plates. Recovery a specter of wheelchairs permanent. Hate being the burden. He confessed. Monitors beeping dirge. Alex knelt. Never. You're the builder. Jordan. Foundations hold weight. Kai. You're my hero, Gramps. Heroes need help. Rehab bonded tighter. Family rotations. Elias grumbling through PT, but grinning at Kai's pep talks. Push like you're busting bad guys. Lena visited, bringing Tommy's last sketch, a family portrait imagined, for figures under a badge-turned heart. He saw this, she said, tears shared. Elias framed at bedside, talisman. Discharge brought adaptations. Ramps installed, home aids, but spirit soared. Jordan designed a custom easel for bedbound art. Elias doodling precinct cartoons, queered with flair. Retirement's not rust, he quipped, signing one to my sons. Draw your lines bold. Kai's turn came subtle. First crush, a classmate Inby named Riley, notes passed in class. Is it weird if I like them and boys? Kai fretted, homework forgotten. Alex and Jordan tag-teamed. Love's not weird, it's wonder. Elias, overhearing, added gruff. Just be kind. And brave. Rest follows. School dance loomed. Kai nervous in thrifted tux, but Riley's yes lit them like fireworks. Pick up post-dance. Kai aglow, Elias waiting with Coco. Danced like a champ. He reported later, pride paternal. Nonprofit milestone. Blue kinship expanded statewide. Grants gushing. Alex keynoting at a conference in Springfield. Elias in tow, Scooter stage side. From closet to co-pilot. Alex titled, Weaving their saga. Misunderstandings mended, prejudices punched. Q&A unearthed a young officer, voice quaking. My brother's gay. How do I? Elias took the mic. Listen. Love louder than fear. Applause crested, a wave of what's possible. Jordan's breakthrough. A MoMA scout at his latest show, Veins of Valor. Pieces forged from trial transcripts. Bent metal echoing evidence chains. Solo retrospective? He whispered home, dazed. Alex hooped. Kai high-fived. Elias poured rare scotch. To veins that run true. But doubt nipped. What if it's the story, not the skill? Alex cupped face. It's you. Always was. Winter whispered warnings. Elias's cough persistent. Doc's probing lungs. Biopsy loomed. Shadow of cancer. But clear. Pneumonia. Treatable. Scare galvanized. Holiday in the Keys. Mixed timeshare. Sun thawing bones. Beach chairs aligned. Kai building sand forts. Story spun till stars pricked. Best gift, Elias said, waves lapping. You all. Spring unfurled verdant. Exhibit tours looping back to Chicago. Grand opening at the Cultural Center. Throngs filing past unseen. Lena spoke, voice steady. Tommy'd be proud. Flashbulbs popped, but Alex saw only Elias. Eyes on the heart badge. Whispering to Mick. Ours now. Climax crested unexpected. A package, unmarked, at the door. Hargrove's effects. Auction post-death. A diary called. Pages chronicled venom. Rants against pervs in blue. Confession scrawled shaky. Riley had it coming. Harper next, but chickened. Closure bitter, but balm. Villain unmasked fully. No loose threads. They burned at Lakeside. Ashes to wind. Lanterns relaunched. For endings that free beginnings. Love's arc bent toward joy. Conflicts conquered not by force, but forgiveness forged.